Hello. Today we are discussing the 3 techniques on how anyone can overcome blank page anxiety. Whether you're a student writing an assignment or a research paper or an author writing a book, or even a blogger writing a blog, that blinking cursor isn't just annoying. It's actually triggering a physiological freeze response in your brain. When you stare at a blank page, your amygdala treats that assignment like a predator, paralyzing your creativity. Here are 3 psychological shifts to dismantle this survival mechanism and restore your flow immediately. Let's start with what's actually happening when you stare at the blinking cursor. When an assignment feels important, difficult, or threatening to your grades, the task can become emotionally loaded. Your brain isn't simply seeing write an essay. It can start interpreting the situation as, perform, don't get this wrong, this is being graded, this needs to be good. What if I don't know enough? And when perceived stress increases, brain systems involved in threat and emotion interact with the prefrontal regions responsible for executive functions such as attention, planning, and flexible decision-making. Research on stress has shown that high stress can impair prefrontal functioning, while strengthening stress-related responses involving the amygdala. So that feeling of, I know this but I can't seem to start, isn't necessarily laziness. It can be what happens when the task feels much more consequential than simply putting some words on a page. You're trying to concentrate while your laptop contains your assignment, email, messages, social media, entertainment, research databases, and probably 17 browser tabs you forgot were open. Digital interruptions and task switching can carry real attention costs. Research discussed by the American Psychological Association has found that technology distractions can repeatedly pull students away from focused study, while multitasking itself creates switching costs. Then add the pressure of grades. The result is a strange combination. The assignment matters enormously, but your brain is being asked to create something from nothing while surrounded by distractions. And that's where the myth of the perfect first sentence becomes dangerous. You think, I just need to figure out the right opening. But that's not how good writing usually develops. A first draft is a draft. It's supposed to give you something to work with. University writing guidance commonly distinguishes brainstorming, drafting, revising, and proofreading as different stages of the writing process. Free writing is specifically used to generate ideas without worrying about grammar or structure. So stop asking, how do I write the perfect sentence? Instead ask, how do I create enough material to work with? And that's where the first technique, reframing the paper as a disposable laboratory, comes in. By changing or reframing the way you think about a document, you can lower its perceived stakes. Instead of thinking, this is my essay, think, this is my laboratory, or, if you prefer, visualize the document as a private sandbox, where errors are not only allowed but necessary for data collection. This is my private sandbox. Nothing in this document needs to be good yet. In fact, give yourself permission to deliberately ignore quality for a while. This is known as tactical ignorance. For the first stage of writing, temporarily ignore things that belong to the later stage. Ignore perfect vocabulary. Ignore elegant transitions. Ignore whether your introduction sounds impressive. Ignore whether your lecturer would give the paragraph an A. Your job at this stage is much simpler. Collect information. Test ideas. Make connections. Find out what you actually think. Imagine you're conducting an experiment. A scientist doesn't throw away an experiment because the first measurement wasn't perfect. They collect data. They look for patterns. They change their hypothesis. They test again. Treat your first draft the same way. Right. Maybe my argument is actually about, or, one thing I could say here is, or, I think the problem with this theory is, or even, this paragraph is probably terrible, but the point I'm trying to make is, that's fine, nobody needs to see it. You're not submitting the laboratory. You're using the laboratory to discover what the final paper might become. And this is important. The goal of your first session is not to produce a grade-worthy paper. The goal is to produce raw material. Once you have raw material, you can improve it. But you can't edit a blank page. Let's summarize technique number as follows. Lower the stakes before you start. Tell yourself, for the next few minutes, nothing I write has to be good. That single shift can make the task feel dramatically smaller. The second technique is known as the 5-minute messy brain dump, where we need to get words moving. Here's exactly how to do it. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Not 30 minutes. Not 2 hours. 5. Then start writing. And here's the rule. You are not allowed to edit. Don't go back and improve sentences. Don't search for the perfect word. Don't correct every spelling mistake. Don't stop to make the paragraph sound academic. Just keep moving. You can write, I don't really know how to explain this, and then keep going. You can write, this relates to the previous point because, and then keep going. You can write, need source here, then keep going. You can even write, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Maybe the point is, and keep going. The point is not beautiful writing. The point is movement. Writing Center Guidance on Writer's Block commonly recommends free writing, writing continuously without worrying about grammar, punctuation, or sentence structure, as a way to get ideas moving. Think of it as a vomit draft. The first stage has one metric. How many useful thoughts did I get out of my head? Not, how intelligent does this sound? Not, would my lecturer approve? Not, is this publication quality? Just, did I produce something? And there's another reason this works psychologically. A blank screen gives you nothing to react to. Your brain has to generate the idea, judge the idea, and decide where the idea belongs, all at the same time. That's a lot of pressure. But once you put something down, you have something to respond to. You can say, actually, that's not what I mean. Or, this idea is better. Or, these 2 points belong together. Now you're no longer trying to create something from nothing, you're working with material. And that's a much easier problem. So when the cursor starts blinking, don't wait for inspiration. Set 5 minutes, write badly, keep moving, and let the good ideas emerge from the mess. The third technique is dismantling perfectionism with strategic placeholders. Now let's deal with one of the biggest causes of broken momentum. Stopping. You're writing a paragraph. Everything is moving. And suddenly you realize, I need the exact date. Or, what was that researcher's name? Or, what is the perfect academic word for this? Or, I need to check this statistic. So you stop writing. You open Google, then another article, then another. 20 minutes later you're reading something completely unrelated. And the writing has stopped. This is where technique number 3 comes in. Strategic placeholders. Filling the page with strategic placeholders creates a scaffolding that makes the actual writing feel like filling in the blanks. Instead of stopping, leave a marker. Use brackets. For example, add source here, check date. Find better word, explain this theory. Insert example. Or, if you don't know exactly what you're trying to say, open bracket. Explain why this matters, close bracket. Then keep writing. You are essentially telling your brain, I haven't forgotten this, I'm parking it here. And then you move on. This is incredibly useful, because you're separating 2 different jobs. Generating the argument is one job, checking and polishing the argument is another. Don't force your brain to do both simultaneously. If you need a source, mark it. If you need a statistic, mark it. If you need better vocabulary, mark it. If the paragraph isn't quite right, keep going. It is important to maintain the flow state by refusing to stop for specific facts or perfect vocabulary. You can even write nonsense temporarily if necessary. For example, open bracket. This is where I explain the connection between X and Y, close bracket. That's not failure. That's scaffolding. And once the page contains that scaffolding, the assignment becomes much less intimidating. Instead of looking at this blank page, you now have Introduction. Explain problem. Point 1. Explain theory. Evidence. Add source analysis. Why does this matter? Point 2. Compare with. Conclusion. Summarize argument. Suddenly, you're not facing an empty page, you're filling in blanks. And filling in blanks is psychologically much easier than creating an entire paper from nothing. This brings us to securing the creative momentum. Now here's the part students and writers often get wrong. These techniques are not a replacement for editing. They're a way of getting you to the point where editing is possible. Think about the process in 3 phases. Phase 1. The laboratory: generate, explore, write badly, make connections, leave placeholders, don't judge. Phase 2. The structure: now step back. What is the actual argument? Which ideas belong together? What needs evidence? What can be removed? What needs to move? Phase 3. The Polish only: now do you worry about grammar, vocabulary, transitions, citations, sentence structure, formatting, proofreading. This separation matters. Similarly, the first draft should be treated as something that should subsequently be revised, rather than expecting the initial version to be perfect. So don't try to write and edit the perfect paper simultaneously. Generate first, improve second, Let's summarize this video with the 30second blank-page checklist. And here's the system I want you to remember. The next time that cursor has been blinking for more than 30 seconds, stop staring at it. Run this checklist. Number 1. Lower the stakes. Ask, what would I write if nobody were going to see this yet? That's tactical ignorance. Number 2. Set 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I only need to produce words for 5 minutes. That's the messy brain dump. Number 3. Park the problems. Don't stop for missing information. Right. Check this. Add source. Find example and keep moving. That's strategic placeholders. And then, don't edit yet. Your only job is to create enough material to give your future self something to work with. Final message/resource CTA. So the next time you feel that familiar panic when you open an assignment, remember, the blank page isn't asking you to produce a masterpiece. It's asking you to start collecting material. You don't need the perfect first sentence, you need a first sentence. You don't need a perfect paragraph. You need something you can improve. And you don't need to solve every problem immediately. You need to keep moving. Lower the stakes. Make a 5-minute mess. Use placeholders instead of stopping. Those 3 shifts turn writing from a performance into a process. And that's exactly the kind of skill you can practice and reuse across essays, reports, research assignments, presentations, and almost any other academic task. The aim isn't simply to help you finish one assignment. It's to help you build a repeatable system for getting difficult written work started and getting it finished. Because once you know how to start, the blank page loses a lot of its power. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. New videos posted every Monday and Wednesday morning at 10 GMT+2.